SleepApnea.org presents Portraits Living with Sleep Apnea, a conversation with Dr. Giradin Jean-Louis. What got you into sleep?
Great story. It's a great story. There's a fellow by the name of Arthur Spillman. Many years ago, we met him as a graduate student at City College. I actually went to him because I had obtained some funding to do some lab work. And I said, Arthur Spillman, I'd like to do some lab work. He said, sure, you could come in. So I began to do some night studies and I became fascinated by the brain. I mean, as a youngster, you see the brain on paper. It's like, well, that's some cool stuff. That was it. And I never looked back.
Is progress being made?
I think it depends who you ask. Some people think we are regressing. I think we're going forward. If I had one concern that I have is it seems as if we're asking a lot of good research questions. But because of the focus on sleep apnea, I think it becomes to some degree more commercialized. It's about treatment of sleep apnea and the like. Some of the good research questions we used to pose many years ago, I don't see a lot of people asking those questions anymore. That's unfortunate. Now I understand sleep apnea is a very serious problem. We've got to devote time to it. But we know what sleep apnea is about. We know how to treat this. The main problem now is adherence. How to get people to adhere to treatment. So some of the work we're doing is about developing and testing new models to make sure people adhere. If you don't adhere, CPAP devices, PAP devices are of no value. But the question about circadian rhythm influences on insomnia, on sleep apnea, we're lagging behind, unfortunately.
Discuss creating inclusive research results.
So we want to have about 1 million people, hopefully a diverse population. The evidence is not very strong we're going to be able to achieve that. I hope we can. I hope we can. Whether or not we have to oversample to make sure that we have the diverse population we need, then there could be some problem with statistics. But there are ways to do that. In our research over the last 10 years, we've been able to engage communities where we need to access black patients, if you will, Hispanic patients. There are ways to do that. So we have learned quite a bit on what the approaches are to bring them in. So when you go to the barbershop, the beauty salon, and the churches, there's a strategy you can use. So befriending people. You don't want to go to the church the day you want to collect data. You don't want to go to the barbershop on the day you want to collect data. You may have to go there, get a couple of haircuts, right? And they see a familiar face. You may have to go to church a few times so they feel, you know what, this guy is one of us, this lady is one of us. And at some point you say, you know what, there's this thing that I'm concerned about. I'm trying to do a little study here. Would you guys like to participate? They'll say yes. But most people don't approach it that way. They come in with a clipboard, they start asking questions. You'll be lucky if you don't get through an hour. We also find that by engaging what we call a community steering committee, your life is much easier. These guys actually become messengers of whatever it is you're articulating. If it is you're trying to increase awareness of what I say, we have a community advisory board of 7 people. We share with them the information that they have to have. They feel empowered. They go to the community. When they encounter some kind of obstacle, they come back and they say, oh, this, you address it that way, those, you address that way. So they become the agent of change. And I think we need to be doing more of this. Now, what's interesting is, of all of the doctors we engage to refer patients, nothing happens. When those guys refer patients, they all show up. So there are ways to do things. You just have to follow the norms. Once these guys realize that sleep apnea is a very serious problem, you're done. They go to their community, talk about that. Some of those people have parties at their house. So recruiting to us is, I don't want to say a piece of cake, but it's much easier because you don't even have to be there. They do parties at their house, and all we have to do is have a research assistant go administer the forms, come back with the data. If you engage them, life is easy. But if you just sit in the ivory tower thinking they're going to come in because you place some ads, it doesn't really work that way.
Tell us how community engagement yields results.
The empowerment is powerful. When you first engage these people, the typical signs of OSA, sleep apnea, they had no idea. So if you show of hands, how many people have ever snored? People would proudly say, Because in their mind, snoring is good. Snoring is deep sleep. Until you tell them, well, you know what? Snoring is not so good. It's a sign that there's something wrong. And all of a sudden, you could see the transformation. Here, I thought I was doing something right. And then it turned out it's not so right. So now they then go to their community to tell the brothers, the cousin, the neighbors. Clinics is tough when we engage the community physicians, and I understand. They have hundreds of people waiting for them. There's this thing about don't ask, don't tell. If you ask a sleep question, be prepared to give them an extra 10 minutes, and they can't afford to do that. They just can't. They say, I really wish I could. The P.R.I.D.E project we just submitted is about developing a platform that would make it easier for them to make a referral very quickly. There's an algorithm that tells them if it's yes, yes, yes to those questions, this person is at risk. All you have to do is click on this button, you make a referral. They love it. But if you ask them, ask the questions, and then make a call, they don't have the time to do that. So the P.R.I.D.E program helps quite a bit. Every year we train about 10 to 12 people who can now go do the kind of work, community engagement that we are doing in the sleep world. We didn't do this for many, many years, but now that we train every year, about 10 of them, we've been doing this for 10 years, we have about 125 people now. Now, not all of them are going to do that, but they are trained to do community engagement to reduce sleep health disparities. Even though I go to the community, I do certain things, but I'm not there as frequently as they are. They are always at the churches, they are always at the barber shop, so there's more of a feeling of closeness to those people. So our job is really to empower them and help them do some level of troubleshooting. What I hope we could do a little bit more of is bring those guys to the sleep conferences. So investigators can see these are the guys that have credibility in the community. There's a way to do that. Speak to those guys, get some tips about how to do that yourself. And perhaps you can learn from this and do the same thing in our own communities.
In what ways are you personally rewarded?
My biggest reward is when I go to one of those community events, somebody that I saw about 6 months ago comes back to me and says, Doc, I'm sleeping much better now. It's like, no NIH funding can ever give you greater satisfaction. I'm not, look, you need the money to do the work, but when you're having direct contact with patients that are telling you testimonials, I'm feeling much better now. Now my wife is sleeping better. You can't beat that.
Tell us how home testing has improved participation.
The days where people come to the lab, you put some electrodes on, you send them home with a machine, those days are over. We're finding that, for instance, why a lot of black people wouldn't go to the lab. When we give them the option to go and do the test at home, everybody says, but of course. But this would not have been possible if you didn't have direct engagement. We ask them, what if I offered this to you at home? Would you do it? Oh, Doc, of course I would. But you're asking me to go sleep in a strange lab at NYU somewhere? I don't know about that. Especially when you ask people to go sleep somewhere in a strange environment. I don't know what this is about. And truth be told, in those communities, many times somebody slept in the hospital, they never come out alive. So when you say you're gonna spend a night at a lab to do a sleep test, there's this, if something bad might happen. But if they're in the comfort of their home, I mean, in our studies, everybody says yes. It's also, I'm in charge now. You come into my house to do a study. I'm in charge. But if you go to a lab, you are in charge. Right?
How does this research impact the community?
I'll tell you about my experience running a sleep clinic in Brooklyn. We had a lot of parents who would come and say, I don't know, my kids is not doing well in school. Uh, the guidance counselor said he has ADHD. So I said, okay, I know that's not what's happening. So I said, but tell me, does he sleep at night? Oh, it's difficult to wake him up. Have you ever heard him snore at all? Yeah, sometimes it snows, but he's always snored. I'm saying, oh. So undetected sleep apnea, untreated sleep apnea leads to what? Hyperactivity. Hyperactivity leads to what? Medication. There is one case I'm not gonna forget where this kid becomes a drug dealer because he had that stuff. He was making some money off of it. Instead of taking it for himself, he was selling it. And somebody said, would you like to make more money? And the kid is just lost. So Misdiagnosis can lead to the destruction of a person's life. This is something we really want to attack. Things that could have been fixed when the kid was 4 or 5 years old never happens. This kid never could learn because kid has sleep apnea, right? Can't process information. And by the time you catch this is too late.
How will things get better in the future?
There's a consensus being built. The fact that all of us research was able to bring all those sleep experts together. 2 weeks before that, NIMHD and NHLBI joined forces together to talk about sleep health disparities. It may be that investigators are not quite yet there yet, but NIH is there, believe it or not. So if NIH sets the priority, guess what? They're going to come together. They will.
To find out more, visit sleepapnea.org now.